Since closing its doors in 2013, the X Asylum has stood abandoned, slowly falling into decay. Behind these crumbling walls lies a history stretching back almost 180 years. Once home to more than 2,000 patients, this vast institution witnessed generations of lives, struggles, and stories that have been long forgotten. Today the wards sit empty, the corridors sit silent. The nature continues to reclaim what was once Ireland's largest psychiatric hospitals. What is going on, everyone? We are back out again today, and we're actually exploring this abandoned asylum that has just been left here since 2013 to rot away. Now, this place was home to over 2,000 quote-unquote lunatics, as they called them. They didn't see people as mentally unwell or whatever. To them, they were lunatics. But let's get inside here, let's check it out, and let's go. We have made our way into the building through the courtyard area here, through this garage door. Now we're in the laundry area. Now we had to go in through this way because the whole building is completely sheeted, as you've seen from the intro. But look at this here. So this is like all big presses and stuff where they would do the laundry of the patients. You can see the irons here, the big washing machines as well. There's quite a bit left behind for this place, for this place being so old and so protected. Now we just do need to watch where we're stepping, because as you can see the place is falling apart inside here because it's like a warehouse part. But look at this, all the big industrial washing machines and dryers all around us. And look at that, the scales. Do you reckon if I stand on this it'll move? Our biggest problem with this here location is it's had 6 security guards, 6 or 8 security guards whenever we were flying our drone over. But as soon as it hit a certain time, they left the site. So we don't know if they're security guards or if they're builders securing the building. Because as we know, the building's completely secured. Like, there's boards everywhere. So we're going to make our way through here, I think, to try and get in. But we need to watch the floor, just covered in algae and moss. Jesus. Check this out. Look how eerie the corridors are. I think we're in. I think we're fully in. Yeah, look at the paint on the walls, just chipping off. Is that like a courtyard or is that just overgrown? Jesus Christ. That's insane, mate. Look at this. The birds add so much ambience to it as well. But as Jamie just pointed out, caution, slippy floor. As you can tell, it's slippy to be fair. This is insane. Let's make our way through and check out. Look at that, the decay. Now this place closed down in the early 2000s, probably 2010s-ish, probably a bit after. But this opened in the 1800s and it's been open ever since. Obviously it closed. This is insane. Now, this place was only meant to hold about 800 people, but near its closing time, it was ended up maxing out over 2,000 patients. Overcrowding is what killed this place, and the fact that patients weren't being looked after properly was a massive part to play. So the part we're in will be all like the maintenance areas, and it'll be mainly for obviously cleaning and doing the place up. Now we need to be careful, because if we look up, look at the ceilings. The ceilings are pure falling down. Just look at that. This is crazy, the decay in this place. And we're not even in the main part. We're just out in the warehouse area, which connects through. And that's what we're hoping these rooms do. It's crazy, look at all the vines and all growing through the ceiling. You can see where nature is just taken back. This goes into the main building. So you can see these old Gothic walls. We've just entered the main part of the asylum. And we just have to be so careful now. You can see where they've boarded up the doorways. It's crazy, this was an asylum at one point. And there was people walking these corridors that shouldn't have been here. And that was a massive part to play. Like, they just locked people up for no reason. So ward 7 to 8, as you can see, is back there, or else through these doors. But this is one of the old wards that we're walking through now. It kind of reminds you of the old St. Lumen's ward, asylum, which actually isn't too far away from here. Sadly, we can't get into it anymore, and that's due to being too many security on it. Check this, this would have been one of the rooms that the patients would have stayed in. What's that? Maybe a thing for their heads, stop them hitting their heads off the walls. And see some old art, High School Musical. That is a long, long time ago. You can see these wards. They've stripped everything out of them. The only things left are remnants of the old cupboards and stuff like that. Not even beds, but look, there's adult nappies still left behind. They're actually not adult, they're kids' nappies. So maybe there was young kids in here. Sanitary pads as well. But it's crazy to think that someone that they deemed mentally unwell walked through these corridors at one stage. Now, 15, 20-ish years later, we're now doing it. So whenever we come into this wing of the place, we come towards the nurse's office, but the cells slash rooms, we'll call them ward rooms, start to open up a bit more, as we can see from in front of us. But in here was once the nurse's office. But check out the size of it. Now we can see everything's just peeling off the walls. Old radio and security system just sitting there. But this here place is just falling apart. And it's so dark if I turn off the torch. As you can see, a wee bit of light coming out, because they've completely patched every single window, stopping anybody and everybody coming in here. Now we were very, very lucky to find the way in that we did find. But let's make our way from here towards one of the other wards. I'm starting to think that the ward we're currently in now was primarily for women, because every room is pink. But then saying that, we're getting to these rooms that are now blue. So maybe I could be wrong, but underneath is pink. But look at that. That is so creepy. The old teddy bear just sitting in the corner on the bed. Look at that. Was not expecting to see that sitting there. Let's make our way through. Now, a fun fact for anybody who doesn't know. So the reason why the walls on all these asylums and inside a load of hospitals, modern hospitals, are yellow is down to they see yellow as a colour that is meant to uplift your mood and prevent depression. That's why inside these asylums and stuff, all these walls are that shade of colour. It is so creepy, these corridors. Like years ago, when you were walking through these corridors, you would have heard people screaming, like people did not want to be here. And some people didn't need to be here, which is absolutely insane. Now, this hospital may be called St. Bridget's, but it's more commonly known as the X Asylum, and that's due to the X that it's made from. So if you've seen over our drone videos, the building is shaped as a big X, and the reason behind that is the architect who decided to design this place made it into an X. Look at that, all the old cigarettes. So the architect turned it into an X because it actually made it easier to monitor the 800 patients that were meant to be here. Obviously with the overcrowding up to 2,000, that's kind of what made this place impossible to maintain and to manage. And that was primarily overcrowding led to poor living conditions, meaning everybody wasn't getting the same treatment they should have been getting back in the day. But unfortunately, that's what happened with old school medicine and old school ways of looking after people, was people were never looked after in a fair and deemed manner. But look at this. We can see the nature has just taken back over. This would have been a canteen back in the day. And through here was the kitchen. Maybe they had kitchen staff, or maybe some of the patients to help them become no longer quote unquote lunatics, as they called them back in the day. They had them do normal jobs, such as cleaning, such as cooking. You never really know. But that being said, let's get around and let's check out more of this building. You can see the decay is coming through, and you can actually tell the higher levels seem more modern and seem a wee bit in better condition than the rest. Look at these cells. Now they're not padded cells. I thought they would have been padded like prison cells, but they're not. The mattress would have been here, as we've seen. Yeah, it's not padded at all. Oh, it is. It's quite squishy. These must have been like suicide cells. Maybe they stop people from hurting themselves. So, yeah, they're quite squishy, to be fair. These are padded cells. And that was primarily to stop anybody who was deemed too unsafe from causing damage or harm to themselves. Now, obviously dating back, this building is going back to 1888 to be precise. And it operated for slightly over 180 years, 180 to 160 years if you do the math, because it closed in 2013. Now, that's a long time for a building just to be sitting. It's always mad seeing these old buildings with all the paint flaking off the wall. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, the paint that they would have used back in the day would have been lead paint, and that's why it flakes off in this manner. It's because the lead that's inside the paint, and it's also deemed very unsafe, because when the lead gets inside your system, in your lungs, it becomes toxic. Lead is a toxic element which kills you slowly, can give you cancer and other sicknesses. And that's what all these here walls would have been made of. Well, the paint that walls anyway. You can see the way it just falls off, it flakes, and it becomes like a rubber material. But then whenever it dries, it becomes solid. So these would probably be, see the way it's brittle, but you look at it, it looks like a liquid running down the walls. It's really, really strange, and it's to do with moisture and heat levels. But look at that old bed, just purely covered in mould. And it's crazy to think that not maybe one, not maybe two, but hundreds of people, we'll say 10, 20, don't really know, amounts of people slept on this one mattress one time. It's crazy to think, because they would have had a rotation of people coming and going, maybe all the time. But people had stayed in here for decades. As we make our way out of this ward, back down the stairs, look at this. It's like watching, I don't know how to explain it. It's like sandstone out of Minecraft, the way it's all cracked. It's really, really weird. And behind it, it's like rusty, the walls. The walls are very, very rusty. But let's make our way down these stairs and let's check out the rest of this asylum. Making our way through the lower levels, we come into these rooms, and we can actually see where people have come in and graffitied and damaged parts of the building. But at one stage, kids probably came in here not knowing what went on fully, and just sat and partied and enjoyed themselves and used this as like a wee club area for themselves, as you do as a child, sitting in the corners, an old Christmas tree. But you can see that someone has had their fun drawing and writing whatever they wanted on these walls. We can see old newspapers on the floor, and they're dating back to 2011 on them. This looks like it would have been the clinic, the chemist area, where they would have stored all the meds, going off the shelves and going off the fact that there's bottles and tablet packs there. Let's check out these rooms. Like, you can see the decay and the nature starting to grow through the windows. Gonna walk for a spider web, yucky. Multiple of them all over my face. But look, there's an old calendar here. The question is, does it have a date on it? Now there's something here from 2005. It's It's quite hard to see. You see it there? But I want to know what year's on this calendar. Is it maybe 2000? Look at the rain coming through. It's quite eerie. We'll say 2000 is on the calendar. You can't really peel it off. The paper that's on top is completely merged with it. There's no safe there. Maybe for the keys. We'll make our way through and we'll check out the old x-ray machine. But in here stinks. Oh. Smells of weed and mould. Look at this. This would have been one of the old x-ray rooms. The person would stand behind there when doing the x-ray so they didn't get picked up on the radiation. Maybe this here for checking eyesight measurements. I don't really know. If anybody knows what this machine is, let me know down below in the comments. But if I'm correct by saying this was used to block out radiation. Now this is the room that stinks. Stinks of chemicals and weed and all sorts. But as we can see here, there's bottles of stuff. I'm not really too sure what it is, and I don't really want to touch it if I'm being completely honest. But we can see all the lab stuff's here. That's maybe for reading the x-rays. Look at this. It's an old assisted walker to help those that needed walking aid back in the day. And just in front of it is a set of stairs with scaffolding going up. Assuming the scaffolding is actually holding up the ceiling. But as we continue, we make our way through these green doors into the green ward. Now, if I'm correct by saying, there's 4 wards inside this place, going off the 4 lines on the X. These ones are blue, but the outer part is green. So let's continue through. Look at all the ward doors sitting open in front of us. So creepy. One of the old wards, or old, what would you even call them? Because part of me wants to call them wards, but the other part wants to call them cells. But realistically, they're not cells, they're just rooms that people would have slept in. But unfortunately, they do have bulletproof glass on them, and they basically are cells, unfortunately, which is the sad case about it, and it's the sad truth. Well, we can see they're all empty. Some have remnants of carpets, beds, cupboards, while others have remnants of nothing. And all has just been forgotten of who once used to stay here and live here. Now the part I find the craziest about this, and I think I said it already, is that people weren't meant to be in here. There was people with normal disabilities, things that are deemed normal nowadays. For example, people with ADHD, autism, Tourette's, any of those type of disabilities were locked away in here. And that's including people with Down syndrome and all different types of disabilities that we see as a normal thing nowadays. It just keeps going and going. But we see it all as a normal thing nowadays. But back then, it wasn't deemed normal. Like, to them, it was an illness that you're never going to cure from. But sadly, some people got locked in here for their whole life until this place closed, and they deemed it as a normal thing, a thing of the past. And these people were let go, not knowing how to function in a real life manner, all because they were locked up inside these institutes that they shouldn't have been locked in. And some of them got no compensation. Some of them didn't even know how to function in a real world, because some doctor and someone, the higher power of the Irish Health Service, and this happened throughout the world, not just in Ireland, the UK, or even in America, this happened everywhere. And unfortunately, it's ruined lives. Hundreds, if not thousands of lives. Like, going off the fact that there was 2,000 people in here. Think about how many of those people could have had a normal life and a normal childhood. The children that would have been here, the adults that would have been here. But instead, it's all just been ruined. All because somebody thinks that someone who's not deemed normal is a problem in society, when in reality, it's not. And these places are a living hell. Now, don't get me wrong, there's places like this that are designed and are really well to help people who need that help, who go through mental struggles, who go through mental battles. But in reality, most people that went through these places in history never ever needed to be here. But let's continue. Let's go into the blue wing and check it out. I caught up with Jamie, who actually made his way down the blue corridor, the blue ward, and he said it's actually not worth checking out. There was nothing there and it was just falling apart. He said it wasn't really worth it. So we came down into the basement, as we can see. Now, I've checked out a good chunk of these rooms. A lot of them are completely stripped and there's nothing in them. But if you make our way into here, now I'm not too sure what this was. I'm going to see it was another pharmacy. Going off the fact that there's sanitary products and stuff, like casing and boxes everywhere. But look at this. You can see what one of the old pharmacies was like property like, apart from the one we've seen upstairs. Now, you can tell it's been run through, it's been stripped, but you can see what it once was and what it could have been. It's insane. I think that people flourished in terms of life in here. Like, think of the drugs they were probably giving to people. They were probably walking around like zombies, not knowing what day of the week it is, not knowing what time it was. All they knew was go to sleep when you're told to go to sleep. Get out of bed whenever you're told to get out of bed. You know? But, as we can see, it's kind of been ruined by people vandalising, and even the government themselves coming through and stripping the building would have led to a lot of this here. But look, we can see one of the old sensors that are on the wall. Now thank goodness it doesn't flash red, meaning it doesn't work, and you can see where someone's kind of ripped it off trying to stop it. Now we believe it doesn't work, but who's to say someone isn't going to come looking for us. But this is quite cool, and it's mad the life that some people used to live. But let's check out a few more of these rooms. We can actually see the old trays. Excuse me. The old trays that they would actually put your medication on. I'm going to told you to go with the medication in these trays. Now, confirming the conspiracy of it was a men and women's facility. Now, I think I spoke about it upstairs, but the note it was a men and women's facility, not just men or just women, and there was split. It's the fact that they have sanitary products and period pads and tampons sitting about shows that it was a mixed facility. Now, were they co-inhabited? Like, did they live together? Realistically, maybe not. And that was probably down to fear of pregnancy and children being born. But you can see, like, a lot of this place, a lot of it's boarded up, even in the basement, as we can see. But we'll check out this room here on the right. We kind of avoided it a wee bit because Jamie was in here. But check out this. This is probably just, I don't even know what this would be. You can see where it says pharmacy. So this might have been part of it as well, where they stored more stuff. You can see an old bike helmet here. And some old masks. Again, sanitary products there, but old masks for air sitting there. Yeah, this was definitely a pharmacy, but I put the drugs inside these cups. They're on the floor just here. It's kind of hard to see with the way the camera is and with the lighting. But what we're going to do now is we're going to make our way up. We're going to try and find more interesting stuff. But at the end of the video, well, near the end, we're going to make our way outside. Now, this place has its own church, chapel, whatever way you want to put it. I think it's a chapel, but it's also small, so it's a church. Has its own church, has its own morgue. It actually has 2 churches, I believe. And I've actually been here once before, but never in the asylum that we're in now. So we're going to see if we can get into the church. And the crazy thing is, there was kids here at one stage, because inside the church, if I'm correct by saying, you have baby coffins, which is quite creepy in some sense. And the coffins are left there for the babies, and so are the coffins for the adults. So we'll see if we can get to them. Now, going off the fact that there was people on site earlier, we don't know if they were actually securing the building. So to say that you can get in there is beyond me. It's just really leave here and check it out when it comes to it. Look at all the old curtains still propped up on the windows, completely black out these corridors. Now you have them the whole way down, and you see them all here, but they have all these here curtains that black out these rooms, so light doesn't shine through the wee small windows. And they probably would have had a nurse or someone come in and black out these rooms. Now you can see some of the old clothes of some of the females that would have lived here. See their bras and underwear and stuff sitting on the ground and the dresses. But this is probably multiple people that slept in this room. Maybe 4, maybe 2, we don't really know. It's actually really strange walking through the corridors because you feel like you've been in these parts before, but you know for a fact you haven't. Look at these here, these are the doctor offices that we made our way to now. And this is where the doctors would have been to prescribe you and assess you to see if you were deemed safe enough to leave the facility. And basically to say, you need to be on what drugs and this, that, the other. When you see these wards are here, these would have been the doctor's offices. Now, probably going off, yes, I'm correct. I was about to say, there's probably cells here where they would sleep, they keep patients. And I'm correct by saying so. And again, we have more and more of them, and the rooms are stripped. It's really, really strange because the only remnants we see of the old beds is just mattresses. We never actually see the bed itself. Like here, we've got the pillows, which you haven't came across yet, and the chairs we see in there. But the first bed that we come across is actually this one, which is a box bed, and I only noticed it as I was saying. We haven't came across one yet. Check this here out. This is one of the little kitchens, and again, another canteen. We can see where nature's completely taken over again. This is insane. Look, all the algae growing inside this here kitchen. And over here, I don't really want to step on this, it doesn't look too safe. We're doing it anyway. We can see all the vines coming through the windows. We have continued walking for about 5-10 minutes almost, just throughout the building, just trying to get to a different part of it. And check out this floor that we've came to. Look at this. The floors completely fell apart. And if we go ahead, oh my god, it's falling. It's going from under my feet, mate. Look at that. The floors just completely fell apart.
Because there's a chance that
there's something cool over there.
This could be this. Like many people might not have
yeah. Oh. It's getting dangerous, so it is.
Huh?
Jamie's trying to get his way over. Across. Doesn't seem too safe because just underneath him is the basement. So it is. And he's just sliding. But you can see where the floor, like the waters just came in and just took the floor from underneath, or else a pipe is burst. Yeah.
Hopefully it brings you out somewhere down.
Yeah, I'll find a set of stairs over here. I'm not doing that.
Alright.
But look at this here. There's like an old child gate. Maybe a privacy screen or something just sat here so people can't look straight up the ward. It's really creepy. But we're going to see if we can find another way, because I don't really want to walk across that there. Like, you can see where it just all fell apart. I've actually made my way across the floor that Jamie came across, but look, you can actually see where it's fallen through completely. Now, I took my time doing it because Jamie's a lot lighter than me and I'm a brave bit heavier, so I just didn't want to fall through this floor. And even this bit here is quite squishy, so I'm just trying to stay on the beams, you know what I mean? But as we make our way through, Jamie says this part of the building feels a lot newer than what other parts have. So maybe is it an extension, or has it been renovated, or just because it hasn't been touched. But look at this, he is right. The building isn't as damaged, but that could also be because all the windows and all have been left open. Then that allows air and stuff to kind of get in here, so they circulate, but you never really know. Now we do need to be careful with these floors, because as we've seen, look at that.
I have no idea how it ever happened.
The floors completely fell through. Yeah, that's not safe to walk on.
This one looks a bit more of a drop than going downstairs.
Yeah, because look,
I might try.
you can see from underneath me, there, where the floor is completely separated from the door frame.
I might try and go down again, slide down, hope we don't hit the basement.
Can we maybe walk around this way?
Try to do that.
Oh, flip. Jimmy's about to take the slide.
Not solid.
It's not solid?
Floor, but it's holding.
I have made my way across. I decided to put the camera in my pocket. Like I was saying on the last one, I'm a lot heavier than Jimmy, so it's not as easy for me to make these climbs. But we have to be careful because the basement is under us, so if we fall through this here, we're going to see what the basement's like. But yeah, as we make our way down, Jamie says there's hospital beds down here, but look at this. We find more cells, but look, they have a walker, a thing for helping people with who are disabled, like paralysed, we should say, stand up, and allows them to stand here and do what they need to do, and also eat food and stuff. But just need to be very cautious, because as we can see there, the floor is falling. So we just need to be very, very cautious of what we're walking on. Yeah, that's no worries. Jimmy's making his way up the stairs. Look at that, the floor. If I push, it falls through, look. That's not what we want to do. So we have to just be very careful what we're putting our weight on and what we're standing on here. We can actually see some of the old hospital beds just piled up. There's a first look at some of them. Now we haven't been able to see any throughout the whole explore, but we finally found some. So we're now on concrete, thankfully. So we're just going to continue making our way up these floors. The floors are actually piled with insulation. They're just falling through the ceiling, as we can see. So we're going to make our way up here. Now at the end of this corridor, the floor was falling apart. So we just need to be careful over near it. Like, these ceilings are not safe. But look at this. This is like an apocalypse, so it is. Like something from The Walking Dead. Or something this feels like. Check out these rooms. They actually have beds. These are the first look at normal beds that we've actually came across. And one of them actually still has the mattress now. We're trying to be so cautious on this floor. We can see gaps coming through it. So all it takes is the wrong step, and God forbid it never happens. But we end up on the other side. Oh, I don't like this at all. It's so squishy. Nobody understands, like, watching this video, how some of these floors actually feel. But check out this room. You can see one of the beds in the hospital gown sitting there. So we've made it out of the asylum, which is the garage door there that we originally came in. Look at the walls around us. So we're inside like a compound, and we're going to make our way over here, and we're going to check out the church and see if we can get inside it. Now, we locked this door behind us in case security came, so we need to be so careful because security is meant to be over to the right. As you can see from behind us, we didn't get to show you this here from the intro, and that was primarily because as soon as we got here we needed to rush over to there. We basically scouted it out with the drone, which is our new tool in the arsenal, as you've been seeing with the new videos. So look at this place. It is massive. It's that old Gothic style architecture which you've seen from the intro from whenever we were standing at the front. So we're just need to be very, very careful right now, making our way over here just in case security sees us. But the church is just there.
The grass is super.
True.
It is grass.
So the church and the morgue is over there, but there's another church here
This
as
church
well.
looks a lot more older, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Looks very old. Now, this church here that we're seeing in front of us was actually the one that we came and did one night. Now, like I said, I've not done anything else in this place apart from that one church or the bang, and that church has caskets inside of it for bodies, so kids and adults. Caskets were inside there. But look at the pure size of this place. Like, the drone footage does not do justice, nor does the camera, on how big this place is. But we're going to continue up this road here, and we can see Jamie in front of us. And we're going to make our way down, check out and see excuse me, if we can get inside the church and if we can get inside the morgue. But I find it very, very weird that there's two churches on this ground. A church just up here and that more Gothic style church. But that being said, we're going to make our way. But what I'm noticing now is there's actually like a football pitch here. So maybe some of the patients could have actually played football here once upon a time. There's Galnets, which is GAA, which is like an Irish sport, so it is. So you have football and you have hurling, which I'm not going to get into the technicalities of it, but basically there's the nets and the goalposts for them are. You can kind of see them just there a wee bit more. But let's get over to this. We've made our way down to the church, but as you can see, every window's boarded. So we're just hoping that there's a window with no border on it at the minute. So you can see the asylum just over there behind us. So let's check this here and see if we can actually get into it. Now you can see where slates and all have fallen off the roof and they've repaired them. But this gets watched quite a bit. And everything's currently still being repaired, as we said at the start of the video. That there was 6 or 8 people here on site. And what their job is to do security of it during the day. And to board it up to stop people getting in. But obviously they've missed that one part. Now supposedly this building here is actually the old morgue that we're walking around. Someone's tried to rip a board off there, but it seems quite unsuccessful. You can see where they've completely boarded them and they've nailed them into the walls. You can actually see the cart just ahead of us that they would have used to transport one of the bodies whenever they were moving bodies from the morgue to the church to start doing preparation for the burial. But unfortunately it's been completely sealed. We can also see evidence that people have tried to rip it open. I'm going to check out this big boy. Now this looks like a proper church, because this church behind us could have been used for just ceremonies of life. Basically celebrating someone's life is where that main one was used for prayer. But we'll head over and we'll check it out. We've made our way over to the actual church.
It looks like this
it's
one
very Gothic.
When the asylum was actually built.
Yeah, it looks like it was used then, yeah.
This seems to be the one that came with the asylum, with the one over
But look
there.
at that there. It looks like there's a
built
board hanging off the window there, mate.
Yeah.
Look at that board. Has that just been slid up?
Just slid down. I think the window behind it's closed though.
Oh, it is.
The window behind it's closed, yeah.
Yeah, look, someone's broke the window. They've tried to get into it. Just leave it. They don't break stuff.
It's so hard to get into churches. One, look how slim the windows are.
And two, as soon as them big doors are locked, you're not getting in.
Like, how do you get in?
When we first came here, one of these windows were actually open. That one was open whenever we first came.
That's the one we came in.
And we were able to find all the coffins and stuff, and the caskets, we should say. But you can see that they've completely kind of went round and fixed it all up. No. Oh, it's unfortunate, but sometimes you have to win some, you lose some, you know. We have just made our way out of the asylum. So that being said, if you enjoyed this here video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the follow button, and don't forget to drop a comment on your favourite parts. This explore was absolutely insane, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. There wasn't much left behind, but there's a lot of history in there, and to be fair, there was quite a bit. But yes, if you enjoyed this here one, I'll see you all in the next one.